As I mentioned earlier, there are 7 ways of making an ism marfa. What are they? Number 1, okay, yeah. So number 1 we have al, okay, which is the Arabic equivalent of English article the. So if I were to say the book, I'll say al kitabu, okay. And there are some rules for al that we'll need to take care of, okay, and we are going to cover that after we have completed the 7 points of marfa. All right, the next point is that if it is ism alam. Alam roughly translates to a banner or a flag, so it's a proper noun. So if I say Fatimatu, it's ism alam. If I say Zaidun, it's ism alam. Similarly, if I say Asham, once again it's ism alam. Okay, so there we are. Ism alam is a proper noun and it is obviously marfa. Next, all the pronouns. All right, now if you need to know the details of pronouns, I covered it in my lesson 6. Okay, so you can go and watch the video again. Well, briefly, I can say that it is the words such as he, she, it, they that we use instead of persons or place or thing's name. So that's what pronouns are. All right, all the pronouns are marfa. Next, we have the connecting nouns, such as who, when, that. Once again, I explained this in great detail in 6th lesson, so if you want, you can go back and watch the video. But briefly, I can tell you that they are the words such as the who. So for example, I give the example the boy who lived. So over here, there is the detail regarding this boy, all right, which is that he lived, and the way it has been connected to the ism is via word who. So these are the connecting nouns. In Arabic, we have their equivalents such as allazi or allazina, the ones who, the one who, all right, these kind of words. They're all pronouns, or I'm sorry, they're all marfa. All right. The next example is that of your pointing nouns. All the pointing nouns are marfa. All right, so this, that, those, all of these, all these are pointing nouns, and by definition they're all marfa. All right, next we have the yeah, we have the munada. Munada is the one who is being called. So if I call out hey boy, all right, then boy, in spite of being nakra, is going to be marfa over here because it gets some bit of specificity added to it, so it becomes marfa. All right, so any ism that gets called is marfa, it becomes marfa. And finally, the last point, all right, which is the special muzaf, which is the muzaf of an ism marfa. We discussed this in our 6th lesson. Okay, muzaf is the possessed ism, possessed or owned ism. Okay, and if the owner or the possessor of this ism is marfa, then then this item automatically becomes marfa. Okay, so if for example if I were to say kitabu waladin, then kitabul waladi, and if I were to say kitabu zaidin. All right, so kitabu waladin, over here we see tanween, we know that it is not marfa because we ran this word through the 7 rules of marfa and it doesn't satisfy any of those. So we have, it's not ism alam, it is not having al, it's not a pronoun, it's not a connecting noun, it's not being called out to, and it is not a pointing noun. All right, therefore it is not marfa. And well, we have the tanween over here, so automatically this kitabu becomes nakra because the owner is not marfa in any way. Next, if we have this example kitabul waladi, now we can see al waladi. All right, so what's happening here? It has al, automatically is marfa. So since this owner is marfa, kitabu also becomes marfa. Okay, now kitabu here is muzaf, and muzaf is your possessed item or any possessed or owned ism, so it becomes marfa automatically because the owner is marfa due to this al. All right, next we have kitabu zaidin. So once again this is muzaf and zaidin is ism alam, all right, name of a person, therefore automatically this kitabu or this muzaf becomes marfa. All right, now finally, I hope this was clear. Okay, so the 7 rules of marfa, we need to keep this thing on our fingertips. Okay, that what are the 7 reasons or 7 situations that can cause an ism to be in marfa form. Now finally we need to cover al. There are 8 rules and let's review them once again if you need the details. All right, because if you have missed out on something, I would ask you to go back to lesson 4D, all right, and just watch it because I've covered everything in great detail over there. So in case you miss out on anything, just go and watch lesson 4D once again. So we have 8 rules for al, and they are as follows. So number 1, no tanween. I think this is understood, all right, because al means that a noun is special, it's definite. So how can it be the chair or the chair? It doesn't make any sense. Therefore it's going to be without tanween. As soon as al gets in, tanween gets out, so kitabun becomes al kitabu. All right, second thing that we need to know, well, it's about the post tanween alif. All right, so what was that? Post tanween alif was a thing that it's actually an alif that we add in the nakra form of a nasab ism. All right, so for example, if I have kitabun, I'm not going to write it as kitabun, but I'm going to write it as this, all right, and add an alif over here in the end. So this post tanween alif or after tanween alif, and this alif only gets added in the nasab form, not in any of the other forms, the rafa or jar forms. All right, so kitaban gets added with an extra alif, so that becomes post tanween alif. So but now if I am going to write it as al-kitaba, it becomes al-kitaba. Let's write it here, al-kitaba. I'm not going to add an alif, so that's our second point, that the tanween gets off. I'm sorry, that along with the tanween, if it has a post tanween alif, it gets off, so no PTA or no post tanween alif. All right, next was about ism alam. If it is ism alam, it's not going to be prefixed with al unless the Arabs said so. So if you have a room, for example, all right, room, then this is Rome and the Rome. Okay, so it is something that Arabs have decided. It's up to their discretion. So unless the Arabs allow it, we are not going to suffix, we are not going to prefix a proper noun or an ism alam with al. Okay, because there's no such thing as the Z. So unless the Arab said so, no prefixing of al with ism alam. All right. Next point is about the Shamsi and the Qamari letters. This lam over here, it's called lam tarif, and it gets silent in some occasions, and the way we can work that out is through the acronym of haq ka khawf ajab gham hai. So if any letter is present in haq ka khawf ajab gham hai, then it's not going to silence this l sound. Okay, so we have al kitabu because the letter kaf, all right, it is present in haq ka khawf ajab qam hai, therefore it's not going to silence this lam. However, if the letter after al is not present in this acronym, then automatically we need to silence that lam sound. So therefore we get ash-shamsi or ash-shamsu and not al-shamsu. All right. Once again, if you want some details on it, you can always go and watch lesson 4D, for C. Yeah. No, actually, lesson 4B. Okay, so lesson 4B is about these two situations. All right, so we call this the lam silencing capability of some letters. All right, and that's how you can work it out. You just have to memorize the mnemonic or the acronym haq ka khawf ajab gham hai. All right, so we are done with these 1 2 3 4 5. Next we have hamzatul wasl. This hamza in al is called hamzatul wasl, and it gets silent whenever we are joining a letter, whenever we are joining this mu'arraf bil lam ism to the word behind it. Okay, so I gave the example of zalikal kitabu. Okay, so it's actually zalika al kitabu, but for the sake of a smooth speech and fluency in speech, this hamzatul wasl becomes alif, and this ka gets directly attached with lam over here. Okay, so zalikal kitabu. So this is how it gets silent. And our next point is about yeah, so our next point, hang on. All right, so finally we have 2 points left for the 8 rules of al, and let's cover them quickly. All right, the leftover rules include, first of all, we need to know that the word, this article al, may refer to either one single individual, okay, individual, or it could refer to the entire species of that individual, of that thing, of that ism, okay, entire species. So for example, if I were to say al insanu, it could either mean one human being or it could mean all the human beings, the entire humanity. All right, so how do we know which one is which? We need to look at the context. Okay, so context is what tells us if we need to take this meaning or this meaning. All right, now the last point for al is, remember how we did masajidu, masajida, masajida, all right, in the nasab and jar form. So what happens in jar form is that if we add an al to this munsarif ism, it becomes al masajidi. Okay, so it becomes kind of we cannot say, we cannot call it munsarif, but we have to say that it gets somewhat flexible, and it means that, simply put, it simply gets jar. Okay, so it becomes the regular jar. So it accepts a sair or a kasra whenever it gets prefixed with al, and that's what we need to remember. So masajidu, masajida, masajida, add an al masajidu, al masajida, al masajidi. All right, so these were the 8 rules that we need to take care of while using al in our whenever we are using al with the munsarif and the ghair munsarif asma. And that's how we can sum up this review, because we have covered all the points that we have discussed in the previous week. If you have time and you need some elaboration, you can always go back to the previous videos that I have mentioned here specifically, and you can always get the elaboration from there. Still, if you need some more elaboration, or you think that it's a bit too much to watch, you can always contact me. It's all right. Okay, so because these are the basic concepts, this is the foundation, and if we get stuck over here, it's the advanced level things may not be too easy for us. Okay, and we'll need to we'll have to keep coming back to our basic concepts again and again. So these 2 weeks worth of lessons are really important, and I would ask you guys to practice these forms. All right, and you know keep keep reminding yourself of these things. Okay, keep applying these things, and keep enumerating these different rules that we have covered. Only that way you'll be able to, inshallah, memorize it proper way, and then we can move ahead way fast, inshallah. So until the next lesson, inshallah, where we're going to cover the remaining 2 characteristics of ism, that is the gender and its number, whether it's singular or plural. Keep on practicing, and I'll see you in the next lesson, inshallah. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Quran al Hakim. Allah Hafiz.